Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Now in the last video we had pretty much fixed and came up with this simple UI. All right, so now in this video we're going to talk about how we can fetch data and then bring all the content into our application. Now remember I had talked about the simple REST API that I had created. Now this is just for me locally. I built this from scratch, and if you want to see how we built this, just go ahead and subscribe to the channel and comment down below if you want to see how we built this REST API. Okay, so now I'm gonna put this on the side because yeah, I'll use that for reference, but I will add suggestions to APIs that you can use in this regard that are going to give you the same values that you may need. What do I mean by values? So these are the keys, and then these are the values. So we have an ID, we have IMBD, we have the title, the release date, and the trailer link, and the genres. So I'll go ahead and add something that can pretty much give you the same essence that you would need, pretty much use in this application. Now, again, this is a REST API. I mean, this is a Next.js application that is pulling data from a REST API. So now here is where we stopped last time, and today we're gonna see how we can fetch data. I'll go ahead and pan that on the side. Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna do is to create constants in our application. So go ahead and all right, so the what we're gonna do is to just go ahead and fix my mic, is to create a constant that is gonna hold the movies, and then a function that will set the movies. Then the next thing we're gonna do is to use state. All right, and then in here we're gonna assign it to an empty array, or a list, if you may call that. Okay, so now if you don't know how use state and all that, useEffect, how everything works, just go ahead and check for the video somewhere here in the corner, either the right or the left. You will pretty much get information on, because I created a video about that. So now when you notice, these are the new features in Next.js. So something unusual here is that now Next.js depends on server components by default. All right, so now if you want to create something that is going to be rendered through the client, then you'll need to declare that component as a use client. So what we're gonna do is to assign that right over here, and then you'll go ahead and see that error gone. Okay, meaning that we are declaring this component. So this component, just to circle back, this is a component that is holding all the movies. Right now, what you can do instead of these cards, because this is the card over here, okay, that is being looped through. So now you can pretty much create another component that is holding the cards. All right, okay, so so now moving on, what we're gonna do here, we have a use state component. So the next thing we're gonna do is to assign the data, and how we can do that is to use a useEffect. Okay, and then this is how you would declare a useEffect. Okay, so now in the useEffect we shall have that empty array, and then here is where our logic is gonna go. So we shall need a function, lambda function. We shall create a lambda function, then arrow, then this is where our business logic is gonna go. Okay, so now in here we're gonna use the fetch API, okay, to fetch data. So you're gonna ask yourself why we're using the useEffect. So useEffect, just like how you hear the name, is used when you want to assign data that is gonna happen as a result of something happening. So what do I mean by that? So when the page loads, movies are empty in the first place, which is use state. So now when data is successfully fetched from the database, the useEffect will take control and will assign the movies to this function, and that function will set these movies into this array. I hope that makes sense. All right, so now what we're gonna do, say fetch, we're gonna say fetch that. So what I like most is to assign these first before I add the content. Okay, so I'm gonna explain this shortly. So now this is the general approach of how the fetch API works. First of all, in here you add the link. So our link was, if I bring this over here, so this is our link. So this is where the first variable is held, and that variable for the link goes into quotes. Okay, that's the first thing. Now the next thing after this, remember this is asynchronous. Okay, so when this is fetched, I have a really deep video that I created a few weeks back that explains how to use the fetch API or the Axios API, which you can just find in the React playlist. So now what happens is that when this is fetched, if it's successful, if it is successful, then it will return an object, which is a response. So now if that response is returned, it should be converted into JSON. Okay, response.json in that function. So now since we now have JSON keys and values, then whatever is assigned next is now the actual data. So now we have a single movie. Now we can get a single movie from that response, and that single movie, whichever that movie should be. I hope that makes sense. Okay, I'm gonna circle back at this. So now we have rest movies. Okay, and then in here we should set the movie. Okay, so now I'll save this, and then I need to set useEffect. Okay, I need to import useEffect. Okay, so let's maximize this a little bit and then go through what is actually happening here. So this is where the data is fetched from, and when the data is fetched, I need to make sure my mic is pretty straight. When the data is fetched, it's assigned into this response. So that's the response that we get from the data being fetched. Now that data does not come, it comes in a weird manner. So if we want to format it, then we use we use the JSON function to convert it into a function, to JSON data. And then now, since we have JSON data, now we can access each and every object that is into that JSON. This is what I mean. So this is JSON. All right, let me show you. See this is JSON. Okay, this is JSON. This is a JSON object until here, and then this is also another JSON object over here. So now when all this data is fetched, we convert it into this JSON, right, object. So now if we have that object, now we can access each and every. So all this is the JSON data over here. Okay, and now to get each and every object in there, we assign it into this variable, and then whatever is returned in here can be assigned to the movies. And now the last one is to catch the errors. Okay, so now in here we can say error, and then we can say console dot error. Then here we can write something like failed to fetch data, and then we can append the actual error that is happening. All right, so go ahead and save that. Okay, add an exception. Oh, okay. Oh, my bad. So what we need to do in here is that the error should be in here and then should be returned into a lambda expression. All right. So that's how the data should be cached. So there's some weird formatting going on here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna first take this out, then make sure that I see where the error could be coming from. Let me first comment that, so that I get the actual formatting of what's going on. Okay, yeah, so I see the error, so it looks like this is not supposed to be there. All right, so that's how it should be. Then you can add. All right, so yeah, so now it pretty much formatted in a better way. So we use the then, convert it to JSON, then get all the data that is really converted into JSON, assign it into the set movies. Set movies will be populated, then data will have access, will no longer be empty, it will have, you know, the actual movies. Then if in case there is any error, the error will be rendered in here. So now that we have, I'm gonna push this on the side. So now that we have all that data, you can see that everything is now pretty much sorted. So now we can get into in here, because this is our actual objects. You see that if I take that out, all this goes. Okay, so that's our actual object. So now what we can do is to now loop through. Okay, so now here we can loop through all the movies. We can loop through all the movies. Okay, I'm gonna comment this out. And how can we do that? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna use destructuring. Okay, since now we're using JSX, so what we can do is to say the movies. You're gonna wonder which movies are those. So movies is this actual data over here. So movies dot map. Okay, and then since now so now the map function now takes in. So mapping is like looping through. Okay, so what it returns each and every movie object that is in there. So what we can do is that we have the movie. Okay, so one thing that we're gonna do, we're gonna make some. Okay, yeah, so this is the movies, and then we're getting movie dot map. Then in each and every movie object that is returned, okay, equals where are we? Okay, all right, in here. So each and every movie that is returned, this is where our actual JSX is gonna go. So you're gonna carefully move all this data over here, I mean that object, then you can go ahead and comment that, then add it in there. So this is the actual movie card. Okay, then I'm gonna give some space over there so that I see my new updates. All right, Okay, so I believe, so it looks like the data is pretty much populated in the console. So the issue could be, let's go ahead and minimize this. Yeah, the issue is right here. So when you're returning, we're not gonna destructure. We are gonna use, so we're gonna get everything in here, then replace those curly braces with, yeah, there we go. So that was the issue. Okay, so now we can go ahead and populate whatever is left in here. So at the moment we do have let's see, the release date, so meaning every card is now populated pretty much. Okay, so what we're left with is the overview. So now here we can do the same thing again and say movie.title, and then now here, this is where we're gonna map through our genres. Again, we're gonna do the same thing, get everything in here, because that's what's gonna be looped over, and then say we're gonna say genres, okay, because right now this is what we need. Okay, I want to make sure I pull that for you. So this is what we need now. We just need to loop through this. We're not gonna say again movies. Movies is the whole thing. Right now we just need the genres. So we're gonna say genres dot map. Okay, then in here is where we're gonna return every single genre. Okay, then create a lambda expression, and then remember here we don't use curly braces. This is where we use the square brackets, and then here remember every key, every HTML tag here needs to get a key is equal to, then here we're gonna say genre, we're gonna say each genre dot ID. Okay. All right, so again, to understand mapping, you get the genres, okay, and then each genre that is returned needs to get a key. So this is just automated in the back end, so it will understand that this is ID index 0, 1, 2, and so on and so forth, and then everything will be populated. So now this is what's gonna be looped over. So now if we go ahead, looks like, okay, so now in here we need to write every genre. Okay, we do have genres is undefined. Let's see. Oh, we may need, oh my bad, we're gonna say movies dot genre, so because we need to get to the actual genres. Okay, so in say movie, actually it's movie, because remember we've been using movie from all the way. So here we were giving only a single movie. So here, sorry to correct myself, so here we're gonna say movie dot genre, so that we get to those actual genres, and then we map through them, we get each and every single genre. Okay, and then we get the ID from this each index, and then here we shall print out every single genre. So now when you take a look here, this is what we're gonna get. Now to clean this up, you can pretty much open that up and then create a comma over there. Okay, so now what happens is that what I'm doing is that every single genre, when it's printed, there's gonna be a comma. All right, so and there we are. Okay, so one more thing that we're gonna look at over here, just want to make sure, So this to, you know, look cleaner, what we can do is just to leave a space in there so that we don't need to complicate stuff around. So there we are. Okay, one other thing that I wanted to show you guys is that we are gonna take a look at how, because at the moment we do have, you know, everything is just mapped into, looks pretty nice. So now the next thing I'm gonna do is to look at how to create a pop-up model over here that will show our movies. So thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.